Hello, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Cindy.
And welcome to Homeschool Roots. So today we're going to talk about how to choose a tutor when homeschooling. Now, I know people think, what? I don't need a tutor. Well, that's easy to say when they're in second grade, and you can probably teach most of the stuff yourself.
Yes.
But as they get older, you will need to be a tutor. And that's actually where my expertise comes in, because I was a tutor and actually I still am, for homeschool. So this is actually a very important decision. It's not something to be taken lightly, and I want to say that just because it worked for your friend, that doesn't mean that that is the right teacher or tutor for your family.
Going back to having tutors for different reasons, if you are homeschooling multiple children, a tutor, even though you're able to do all of it, a tutor can be working with one child on phonics or drilling math facts while you're teaching how to write a paper to your older child. And so sometimes it doesn't have to be that you needed this, science major or something like that. It can be a valid reason to have a tutor, even though your children are young.
The valid reason is you want one.
Yeah, that's right. And you feel like
yeah.
it's going to make your homeschool run better.
Exactly.
It's going to add. Don't ever look to take away.
Right.
You're looking to add to your children's experience and to their education.
So I think let's emphasize that first. So we're going to talk about some 4 important things that you need to look at. The first one is temperament.
Mm-hmm. You really have to remember that you're bringing this person into your home, into your family. They're going to have a lot of interaction with your child. They're going to also experience days when they don't really feel like being at work, or experiences in their life when they're going through a hard time with a boyfriend or girlfriend, say, if your tutor is a little bit younger. And you want to have someone that you feel like is well suited, that adds to your home, not takes away from it.
And don't be afraid to sit in with the classes.
I think you should sit in. Most of the time I was in the room at the same time the tutor was. I didn't interrupt. I didn't correct teaching technique and things like that. But I also would be aware if we had one particular young person that really treated our girls more like little sisters, and so would go on and on about her difficulties in her dating life and things that they weren't age appropriate for them. And it also had nothing to do with the
she's trying to bond a little bit too much.
Yeah, and trying to bond in the wrong way. That wasn't their level to bond with. I wanted her to be friendly with them, but especially when you're having people come in and interact with your child, I think it's good for you to know exactly what's being said.
That is so true. I mean, some parents even do cameras. I mean, it's what's comfortable for you. I mean, this is your home. Your home is your castle. So it's important. All right, next is really, really important. We want to spend a lot of time talking about this, and that is expertise. Some people conflate a degree with expertise. I'm going to tell you, I mean, I have a degree. There's nothing wrong with it. A degree is a good foundation. It's a foundation. You don't move into a foundation. You move into a house. So it goes. You want someone that obviously they have the knowledge, but they have the temperament. Are they patient? Do they know how to teach? And sometimes it doesn't mean they're a bad teacher. Just certain teaching styles don't fit with certain children. So it's not like we're trying to bash the teachers. It's just, is their style a fit? Like she said, maybe for some parent, like in Los Angeles, they'd be happy for for the child to talk about dating, for the teacher to talk about dating, but that's certainly not something we would want.
Right.
And but it depends on what's best for your family. So expertise is really important.
It really is. And you have to think about, what are you getting out of your tutor? Why do you have them coming? Sometimes a tutor is teaching things like art. They may not have an art degree, but they're very skilled at drawing and painting and sculpting and color composition and photography. And you're not really interested that much in the actual expertise academically. there are other topics. I've often utilized tutors in the upper level science classes, and even in like things like astronomy. People that do have training and a degree that can bring a whole level of understanding of the subject matter to the child. And so you want to look at why are you having the tutor, and then their expertise or their ability, their gifting, their talent needs to fit the goal that you have in mind.
Another thing I want to say about when you have a tutor is, now it's easy to say sit in, but maybe sometimes you have something to do or something, so maybe you can't always sit in. What you could do is kind of sit in a place that's an earshot, but they don't have to know that you're listening.
Right.
And that's actually really good, because you want to see how they interact with your child when they don't think you're listening. Right. And so I think if you're just like in a place that's like you're outside and you don't respond, so it doesn't seem like you're listening, and you can see how that tutor's interacting with your child.
Right. And over time, you won't need to be there. You'll be there less and less.
Exactly.
Because you get to know each other, and that part of that temperament issue that we just talked about is, do you get along with the tutor? You need to be on the same page. You need to have common goals and talk about them, of what you're wanting to happen with your child. The level of teaching that you're expecting, and just very important that you and your homeschool teacher that's going to help you, your tutor, that you are on the same page and that you can get along with one another.
Exactly. And the next one is super, super important, and I cannot emphasize the importance of it. Character. Character matters. The whole reason a lot of us are pulling our kids out of public school is because we don't like the values that are being inadvertently taught to them in public school. So get someone from a good background. When Cindy was looking, when other parents were looking for a tutor, they would always look for someone with a Christian background. Them being Christian is not where you stop, that's where you start. Okay, and so that was the beginning, and then from there we can see, okay, do they have other characteristics that we're looking for? Now, if you're Buddhist or whatever, you're gonna look for that. But character is so important, because character impacts how much do they stick around when it's tough. Are they gonna get frustrated when your child doesn't get it? How patient are they gonna be? The character is the most important thing. Just, you're hiring an employee, and as an employer I can tell you, you want the knowledge, that's the foundation, but the character is the most important thing I'm looking for when I'm selecting somebody.
Yes. The more you can observe the person you're thinking about tutoring outside of your home, if you can know them, if you know other people who know them, what kind of a reputation do they have? Are they dependable? In their commitments on other things, not just in schooling. How do they speak? How do they present themselves? Is their language good? Are there all kinds of posting on social media?
Check their social media.
That you don't want in your home, that you don't want those behaviors presented as normal and just, well, everybody's doing it, or, your child is going to pick up enough of those types of things, and, well, they said it's okay, they do this, you can miss some of those pitfalls and hardships by paying attention to the character issue early on.
And whenever I hired employees, I always would check their social media, because people, everyone has like a work face, we all do, but their social media, people tend to kind of post like what they really want. So if I was seeing like a lot of lustful photos, bad language, a lot of just nasty posts, judgmental posts, making fun of people, things like that, I wouldn't hire them, because I know that, okay, this is how they are, and this is their public face. Yeah. How are they going to be with me, and what are they going to teach my child when, again, maybe some days I can't always be there. Right. So I recommend checking their social media.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. You should know as much as you can, because remember, their expertise is important, But as we've said before, more learning is caught than taught, and those attitudes of behaviors, attitudes towards others, if you look down on other people, if you're critical and bitter in your own conversations, those things are going to communicate to your students.
Oh, and another thing I want to say, and this is, I guess, because I was a tutor, but it's really true. Don't just try to get the cheapest person you can get. I get everyone's budgets are different, and you need to set a budget. But remember, you get what you pay for. A lot of things. So if you're just going to get someone that's willing to work for minimum wage, well, a teacher that's willing to work for minimum wage may not be the best for your child. Now, again, may be different. You could get a student that's just looking to get some experience. That could work out. But if you're just being cheap, and just getting someone that's going to work for minimum wage, you can't really expect too much. Research the market and see what our tutors are going for. When I taught, I was making $20 an hour to teach Spanish. Math and science teachers, probably going to charge more. At least in North America, and pay a good wage, because if you just try and be cheap and pay low wages, even if you can find someone that fits, they're probably not going to stay long because they can find someone else who's willing to pay them what they're worth.
Right.
So
you can do a lot. First of all, look at it from the best you can do, not the least you can do. How can you bless this person? They're blessing you. They're blessing your child with things that you either can't teach or don't have time to, or you don't want to, and you want someone of good character and of good knowledge to come in. They're worth something. If you don't have a lot of money, you can also look for creative ways to help them, to exchange, or whether you provide meals in your home, or gas money, or you might provide a motorbike for them in our setting, or
a pleasant experience.
Like yes, you can provide things for them. You can also try to accommodate their schedule so that they have other opportunities to supplement their income. If they're just teaching a couple classes for you, then try to work with them. If you're not able to pay them what they deserve, what you know they deserve, they may really have a heartfelt affinity for your family, and they want to help you, so they're willing to come for less. Well, do everything you can then to bless them by enabling them to get other jobs at other times, accommodate their schedule as much as you can, support them in other ways as much as you can.
Some, like Cindy, she incorporated basically her tutor as part of the family, but that's really the best way. Like her housekeeper, basically a full-time housemaker, she's a part of the family, and that's really the best way to do it. If you start treating them like a maid or like help, then they're gonna know that. And if you're paying a high salary, they'll tolerate it. But if you're paying like a low salary and you're gonna treat them like help, then they're not gonna stay. And would you stay? If you were treated like that by your boss? No. When I was doing it, there's actually this one kid. He was just having problems, and it was actually through a government program in the States, and the hours ran out. But the mom was just, I could see she's struggling. I ended up tutoring him for free because I could see he needed some help. And ironically, after he found out that I was tutoring him for free, he started literally, it clicked in his head. And he just like, "You're here for free?" I was like, "Yeah." And he just started coming around. He was getting Fs, and then he was a B student. And the mom just was so happy. She was a single mom, and I just, wanted to help out. So most teachers who do that are in this field is because we love kids and we want to help.
That's right. The whole idea here, I think, is do your best. Be honest with your tutor on what you can do, and don't just try to beat them out of cash. Do your very best for them, and they will do their very best for you. And we have been blessed to have different people over the years, and then of course our tutor now has been with us a long time, and what great relationships with all of them that we've had.
And exchange. Now that's another thing for people that maybe don't have the budget to pay. A friend of mine, what they do is, her husband is good at writing, so he teaches his daughter writing, and then he teaches his son math. So it's an even exchange, and they're friends, and they're a part of our church, and so that vetting has already been done, and you don't have to worry about setting up cameras in your home. We don't you don't want it to turn into an adversarial, because people can sense that if you're just paranoid and like you're treating them as like, you can't do that.
No. And if you're concerned about that because you don't know them very well, you may have just met them and everything seems good, that's why you stay within earshot or in the room. And you get to know them, and you look for opportunities, sharing meals together and making little trips together. All of those are ways to really get to know each other, and so you can work together.
Like being friends. Okay, another thing, final thing is communication. We've kind of been talking about this all along. Is just being honest up front. People some cultures, they exaggerate what they're going to be able to pay, and they leave, and then they're shocked when the person quits because they didn't get what they were thinking they were going to get.
Yes.
So just be honest up front what they can offer, what you can offer. You may not be able to pay like what the other guy can pay, but you can offer them meals. Mm-hmm. You can offer in Vietnam or something. You can offer them the use of a motorbike. That'd be a great incentive.
Yes.
Just be creative if you can't afford to pay the regular wage.
Yes. And in communication, if things aren't going well, even if most everything is, but maybe one little area isn't, address it. Address it with honesty, with compassion, with kindness. You don't have to yell at people and say, I don't like the way you're talking, or I don't like that you gave personal information to my child. You need to treat them with dignity
the way you
and
want
respect.
To be treated.
Exactly. And be honest about it, though. Don't just
hope
it'll go away, that this problem is going to get better on its own. And encourage that kind of honesty from them. That if your tutor is unhappy with something, maybe every time you leave the room, your child doesn't pay as much attention, or doesn't work with them, doesn't cooperate. They need to be able to tell you that, or they need to be able to tell you if you provide the curriculum and they see a deficit in the curriculum. They should be able to come and tell you that. You need to have good communications both ways, and you will get it, or you'll be more likely to get it, if you respond with a calm spirit, with kindness, remembering that this person is on your side, that you're not adversaries. You're both working together toward the common goal of helping your children to learn and to become well-educated global citizens.
And tutors are excellent because, the reality is at some point you're going to get tired, and having a tutor, even if you can teach the subject, just having the tutor could be a nice break for you.
Yeah.
And just so you don't get burnt out, because you're human. Parents are human. You get burnt out. So have a tutor there that can give you some time to do what you need to do, and kind of give yourself a break.
Well, I think if you're going to have a tutor long term in your home, that they're not teaching like a 13-week course on cooking or something and then they're gone. You're going to have someone in your home for the full year and maybe years. Then I think it would be good to have we always had a work agreement, like a contract, but with just things spelled out on what I was looking for, what we needed. But also things that they were looking for that I agreed to, that I need afternoons free because I'm going to do another job so I can earn more money. Well, if I've agreed to that, then I need to not be frustrated and sharp with them or offended, if they're taking that time. We've already agreed to it.
Make a real agreement, not just you made it so they'll sign the paper.
Right, and sign it every year.
Right.
Review it every year.
Yeah. I used to be afraid, to be honest, I used to be afraid of written contracts, and I thought, it's going to make it so formal, I want us to be friends. But, the reality is, putting it in writing protects you and them.
Yes. Yes.
And so by writing out an agreement,
Yeah.
hey, this is what we're going to do. Like, you don't need to use the word contract. You can
No.
just say, this is our agreement, so then we're clear. And when you put these things in writing,
Yeah.
you do have less problems with it not
You do.
working out, because then they know it's clear what is expected of them. And then vice versa as well. Whereas if you expect people to read your mind,
Right.
and you're mad that it's not working out
Yes.
because they are not, telepathic.
Yeah.
you
That's right.
So-
And also the agreement, you need to stick to things in the agreement so that they don't feel like that
It was a
just
bogus
a whim
agreement,
or
yeah.
just a whim, that you're just going to find it's like, well, what's the problem of the day? You'll come up with something else and something else. Another thing is that if you've been experiencing trouble, I would have a periodic review, and I wouldn't make it be for the full year. If you're having trouble, review it after a quarter. Be very specific of what the problem is and what would fix it, what behaviors,
Yes.
not just, I want you to be nicer to my child.
How am I not being nicer?
That's right.
I,
You need
that's what I
to-
said. I am nice.
Yeah, goals need to be specific and measurable,
Mhm.
that you know if it's been done or if it hasn't been done. And so if you can look at that
And don't be
quarterly-
afraid to talk about a specific incident, because
That's
I think
right. Yeah.
if you just say, well, could you be a little nicer? Well, when was I not nicer?
That's right.
Whereas
Yeah.
you could say, well, I noticed when you kind of raised your
Yeah.
voice a little bit when he didn't understand the math problem.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because most people, I'm telling you, especially people who enter this profession, they're not out to get your child. They're not
That's
out
right.
to, look at it from the positive.
Yeah.
It could have just been a mistake. And if you were able to be specific and tell them where you didn't like it,
That's
okay, I can
Yeah.
see that. And you're going to get much more likely to get a positive reaction. So I'm your employer and I sign
Yeah.
your paychecks and you need to do blah, blah, blah. And that's not going to. And speaking of that, I'm not a fan of paying in cash for it, especially like in the States. Maybe here in Vietnam differently, but I personally like, and that's just because you have that record. If you do have to end up letting them go, they can't, I didn't get paid, and especially in a state like California with labor laws and things like that. So I just kind of do standard business practices. This is a business agreement, and so I recommend if possible, pay them with a check.
We've always been here in Vietnam, and so it has been based on cash, but you can always keep a pay slip that they sign
Yeah.
when they receive their monthly salary or whatever, and then you keep those records so that you have a paper, not just that you signed that you gave it to them, but
They
where they
signed.
received it. And keep those records. It is important because sometimes, or people forget. Wouldn't think you would, but it happens.
do.
And you're like, did I give them that money or not? Well, if you have a plan in place and procedure in place that any money that goes out, the person signs for it, then you have a record and you don't have to say, did I give you that money?
Or if they
And,
say it wasn't the right
that's
amount
right,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Yes, always, it just takes a little care in doing that. What Cameron was saying about if there's specific behaviors, if they say, well, when was I not nice? You might say, well, I notice a lot of times when you're frustrated, you'll say something like, well, you're just lazy. Or don't be lazy. Don't be
You wouldn't
lazy
say
today.
that.
Don't be. If you notice a speech pattern, not where they're saying, "Oh, you're dumb," but let's say they think maybe that it's motivational to say, "Oh, don't be lazy." That you're gonna, inspire them to work harder. But it's damaging to your child, and that they're not hearing that they can be anything else. They're hearing the person say, "You are this." And so it becomes a fulfilling prophecy that the
Yeah.
child becomes that. But if you can, the more specific you can be, the kinder you can be, but you also remember at the end of the day, you are a parent first and an employer second. And if your child is being wounded or is not thriving
Yeah.
because of behaviors you need to make a change.
Amen.
And it will have to be sooner rather than
Than
later. Yeah.
Now, we're not saying, cut them off,
No.
like,
Depends on what it is.
right,
but
you have
yeah.
to make that decision.
Yeah.
And now some people, they want to be like, oh, nice, I don't want to, but then
Right,
some people, they will just, boom, gone. Now, of course, it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
But that's why you can say, do it on a monthly basis. So then, at the end of the month, you can just say, well, we're not going to do it. Then you don't have to be
Right.
like you're fired. Whereas if you automatically just,
That's
boom,
right.
agree to the entire year, then
Yes.
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And then who knows, in the States, they could sue you
Yeah.
because you had an agreement and then you technically broke that agreement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't want to go through that. So
No.
I recommend starting off small. Start off for a month. And
Yeah,
then
that
you-
it's not a year-long
Yeah.
commitment. If you believe that this person is great and that you can work through this and that this is a quality person that you do want involved in your homeschool for the long term, then anything that you are working through of issues of speech, or maybe it's chronic lateness, maybe it's lack of preparation before the class, or they're taking 3 weeks to get the paper back to the child, with their grade on it, slow. You should document those things so that it's, if the person says, well, I don't do that, I
Like
don't
a
say
standard
that, I haven't been
business,
late
yeah.
that much, that if it's a behavior you notice that's chronic, you should document it.
Like any supervisor.
That's right. And be kind about it. Don't, you're not trying to catch somebody in it.
Gotcha.
You're trying to, those behaviors that follow a worker are going to hinder them everywhere they go.
Exactly.
And how much better for them to deal with it with someone who cares about them, that's you, someone who likes them, and is kind enough to work through it with them. So much better than them just running off to another job and then, having a way worse time.
We believe in speaking the truth in love.
Yeah.
We don't believe that it is being nice by telling people that they're doing a good job when the job is
Right.
substandard.
Yeah.
To me, that's not helpful.
No.
And so we want, just like with the child, you want to make sure that they understand
That's
that these are the expectations you've set. If you've done your job, which is to set clear expectations, you've been honest about what you're gonna pay and all that, so there's no resentment. Because sometimes, if they feel resentment, they'll start coming late.
But our experience has been overwhelmingly positive. It really has, and
Because she's positive.
well, hopefully that's true. You do, most of the time, you get back what you give out. And if you speak to someone with kindness and understanding, not always, but most of the time, they're going to respond to you in the same way.
Exactly.
And if they're angry first and you can answer with a soft word, you will take down that level of passion and upset, and
Because most people are expecting,
yes,
it's gonna,
yes, fight or flight,
Mhm.
and so if you can answer with a calm voice and compassion in your voice, you will go a long way toward having a productive conversation and not an
Exactly.
argument.
All right, well, I think we're going to cut it off here. So we'll say thank you very much and have a good day. Make sure you like and subscribe to Homeschool Roots. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.